Hello, Namaskar, welcome, Swagatam. You are with the Versatile Doctor. My name is Dr. Abhinav Atul, an author, a YouTuber, the technical manager at TLB City. It is my privilege once again to come before you with another live episode of the author interview, the series where I bring to you the story behind the story, the spice outside the pages, and the soul of an author. You're watching this live stream simultaneously on my YouTube channel, TLB City YouTube channel, as well as on Instagram Live. So, wherever you have joined from, I am grateful that you have decided to make us part of your day, part of your Sunday. The comments are open. Throw in any comments, any talk, any question that you may have on any of these channels. I'll do my best to address them all. And remember, the person who puts in the best comments, I mean, we are not talking about the number of comments, we are not talking about the bunch of emojis, the most engaged conversations, that person will receive a paperback copy of The Portrait of a Secret, authored by the guest of honor in today's live stream, Tarun Maharishi. So, in this 51st episode of TLB Author Interviews, with me is the humble but brilliant, wise, and influential TLB Prime author Tarun Maharishi. In his debut novel, The Portrait of a Secret, Tarun draws inspiration from true events and weaves a tapestry of conspiracy, suspense, romance. It pans across the globe and crosses centuries. This national bestseller has been a pleasure for me to read and a delight for me to recommend for many months. But let me not steal any more fun away from the conversation and allow me to welcome the guest of the house. Hearty welcome to the live stream, Tarun, and congratulations on your book becoming the national bestseller. Please tell us
Hey,
about yourself and more about your book, Tarun.
okay, thank you, Doc. I'm going to call you Doc through this conversation. I hope that's okay.
Of course.
So a little bit about. Thank you for that flattering introduction. It's something one is unaccustomed to hearing, so it's nice to hear. Um about me, I had the privilege of doing my graduation from the National Law School in Bangalore. I spent a few years practicing law, but got bored of it relatively quickly. Moved on to pursue my passion for sport. As you can see, I'm no longer capable of being an athlete, but that didn't mean I couldn't try and do something on the management side. So I did work in sports for about a decade. I worked here in Delhi with a small sports marketing outfit, which has since grown quite considerably. And then I worked in Bombay with the sports division of Reliance Industries, which does a lot of work around all of sports in India, especially around cricket. Then I got lucky in a sense. COVID struck. COVID meant my industry took a pause for a bit, almost instantly. There was no question of doing anything around sport while COVID was on, so we really struggled during that phase. But the silver lining in that dark cloud was that I got time to finally put pen to paper. It was a dream for a long, long time, but nothing that was ever seriously pursued. I wrote for fun, I wrote for my companies, I wrote when I could, but this was the first time in 20 years that I had adequate leisure time on my hands to actually try and make a real book happen. And to be honest, we started off, and I say we consciously, but we started off on a lark. It was more to fill the time to scratch an itch, and that just snowballed into a book that was then picked up by Penguin and published. And I'm glad you are recommending it. You liked it. Hopefully, a lot more to come.
We are very glad that you are here, and listening to your story brings me to the next point that I'm going to put up in this conversation. When exactly during the lockdown or during the work from home period did you get this itch to try your hand at writing? As you said, you had written earlier for your company or for any kind of leisure activities, but never in a professional sense. So, what was the trigger actually?
The trigger was twofold. One was that my son Shaurya was born towards the end of 2019. And as the first lockdown came around, we literally had very little to do. in my sports marketing company. We did try and pivot to various other avenues where we could try and meaningfully connect audiences to sport, but it was a hard slog. And a couple of weeks into this, one realized that we could endlessly spend time debating the same issues. And we did spend a lot of time debating what we could do, but recognition was that there was enough free time then to make a head start. And the way it really went was I got about 70% of the book done in maybe 3.5 weeks. And then when the veil of COVID was lifted, we had to get back to work. And then it took me another 2 years before I gathered the courage to find the time to finish that book. And courtesy my very kind employers, then I had the opportunity to take a sabbatical, which allowed me to actually finish up that book. But there was a good 2 year gap between the first phase and the second phase of writing Portrait of a Secret.
So we are talking about a book which is 280 pages long, and you said the first first half of the book was written in a span of weeks, whereas you took another years. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 years to get it to the shape it is right now, right?
Oh, absolutely. The first 70% came out very, very, very smoothly. Uh, and the book has gone through its own metamorphosis. It was a love story between Devika Rani and Svetoslav Rorik to start with. It had a few elements around the theft of those paintings, the criminal angles of it, but it only became as layered as I think it is today once a couple of friends had invested time in reading it. And much is owed to 3 or 4 people who took time from very busy schedules to actually read through the manuscript, provide suggestions, and the title, for example, comes from a very dear friend. It took him about 3 seconds to suggest a title that we've been debating for 3 weeks. A friend of mine called Vinay Sitapati, who's written two fabulous books. One, well, Half Lion was quite a favorite of mine as well. It was his feedback to begin with that the book had some meat in it, which really kept me going. Otherwise, it's quite possible that 60-70% the way in, we might have given up that struggle at that point itself. So, encouragement came at the right time. I think there's a good lesson in there, a good memory in there, that sometimes that push is required, and that might be something that needs to come externally as well.
That's a quite engaging story. But I would like to have some clarity on why you are always talking about a we. So it is all talking about your friends who encouraged you or who were your alpha readers, or is there something else going on?
No, there's nothing else going on. But it is otherwise such a lonely effort to try and write a book, and you never really know, right? Whether you are missing the forest for the trees, whether your ideation is good enough, whether you're sending it to an agent or a publisher in a format where it's unlikely to be accepted. I say this often, if you can find 4 or 5 people that are going to meaningfully engage with the book and tell you the brutal truth, you are halfway to getting a publishing deal. If these people happen to be family or people are going to tell you you've done a great job even when they don't believe it, then that's a pointless, absolutely pointless exercise, a waste of everybody's time. But fortunately, these friends are close enough that they're happy to tell me to my face that pieces of the book are unreadable, or that there are layers that are completely missing, or there are errors. And these are busy lawyers for the most part, so getting their time is not easy. And then getting this kind of depth, it's a boon to have these kind of people in my corner. My second book, for example, is also very heavily ideated on by two friends who've read 4 drafts of that manuscript to now allow us to move towards publishing. So that's why I always say we. I don't think it's just me writing these books. These guys actually sort of deserve the moniker of being co-authors for this book. And I just want to say again to them, to everybody who's listening, that the gratefulness is undefinable. Without them, neither of those books would have existed.
This is a very unique perspective. Yes, being an author is a lonely pursuit, but the way that you have put it is quite mind blowing. So, as you went through this whole process of draft after draft, revision after revision, chapter after chapter, was there a point when you felt, what am I doing? What I'm writing is crap? If so, what did you do? I mean, what kept you going?
There are lots of points when you feel that what one is writing is not right. It's not something you want to put out under your name. And for me, two or three things work. Unlike disciplined authors who will put in the hours every day, I am more right when the fancy strikes me. So sometimes just taking that break, switching off, letting the brain process in the background whatever you're thinking helps immensely. And you might get a breakthrough which you hadn't thought of out of the blue. So that's certainly part one that works for me. Part two is relying on the friends that I spoke about and relying on the family to read and suggest ideas that might drive the book forward. Uh, and sort of point 1A is the switching off is sometimes very important because you're so zoomed into every word that you're literally losing sight of where you wanted to go with the book. Right? You're trying to refine every word, every sentence, and you've really forgotten the big picture. So that zoom out is essential at times. I'd say every sort of 8 or 10 chapters, it deserves to be zoomed out and read again just to make sure your narrative is flowing as you wanted it to.
And that was a nice snippet of heavenly wisdom for authors who are currently writing or who have written and want to write more.
Look,
We
I'd
have a,
say I'm
yeah.
sorry, Doc. Sorry to interrupt, right? But that's something that works for me. I know enough authors who will make sure they spend 2-3 hours a day writing, produce content, and then try and refine it later. And I'm sure that approach works equally well for them. So very individual choice, horses for courses. Do whatever works best.
Great. We have a few comments. We have we shouldn't surround ourselves with yes men. That is very apt conversationally. And Monica says that wow, 80% of the book in 3 weeks. Of course, something to aspire to do. So, publishing, making the book come out in the limelight in the paperback form, which you can physically see, which you can physically touch, which you can smell. That was only the first step, right? I won't say that you lucked out in getting Penguin to take up your book. It is not a matter of luck at all. It is a matter of merit and sheer determination of what needed to be done, including finding the right literary agent and swallowing your pride and let a professional edit your work. And then after publishing comes the main part, the promotion and marketing of your book. How has that experience been for you so far in your promotions?
Look, before I answer that, I do want to say I'm sure there's an element of merit. There must be, right? There has to be logically an element of merit to being chosen to be published by somebody of the stature of Penguin. But it's not correct to say I didn't luck out. There are a lot of things that could have gone wrong and killed the book and killed my author journey before it had begun. There is a huge slice of luck involved in allowing me to get that first book done, and therefore now allowing me to get a second and hopefully a third done as well. That story has been told. I don't know if I should repeat it here, but let me do it briefly, right? I didn't know any literary agent. I didn't know how this industry worked, but I had gone to law school with somebody whose wife was a literary agent, a lady I hadn't spoken to in 10 years, and they'd actually moved out of India and moved to Singapore. So she got a cold LinkedIn reach out from me, and she was nice enough to remember to entertain the conversation. And as it happened, she sent it to one publisher who was kind enough to take it up. But I think if either of those stages had failed, maybe that book would never have seen the light of day. Maybe I would never have become an author. So certainly there is an element of luck, at least as far as my story goes. Having now digressed there, let me return to your question: marketing and promotion. So that's it was an eye opener for me. The first paperback that comes into your hands, it feels like your journey is complete, and only later do you realize that you're not even sort of halfway through that journey. The marketing and promotion is the much longer part of that journey. It's been a lot of hard work to try and Lots of people again have helped through that entire effort. But here are a couple of lessons I think that we might share with authors. Look, it's not to diss the publisher. I love working with Penguin, and I understand their constraints. They've got a lot of stuff happening in their work life as well. They're publishing some 400 titles a year, so a book a day is impossible for any organization to market. Therefore, they've given whatever support they could. But if any author expects that the publisher is going to step in and be your knight in shining armor to promote your book, that I think is never going to happen. Uh, Not at least till you become somebody of the stature of Chetan Bhagat or Amish or Arundhati Roy. Then, of course, you sort of earned the right to demand that support from the publishers. But for first time authors, it's all on you. Um, and I've always thought of this as being a startup, right? Your book is a startup product. You are one of a million titles on Amazon. You are competing against a million titles on Amazon. So it's on you to find ways to get your book to stand out. Many approaches. Some will work for some books, some will work for others. But as Doc has said in some of his own videos, everything is worth trying to see what actually sticks.
Yes, and you actually bring me back to one of the things that I spoke about in my videos last week itself. That once you publish, you stop being the author. You become the CEO of your book, of your production, and then your job starts. You are accountable. You are responsible for what your book does in the market and how your book does in the market. Very, very, very succinctly put.
And that's aptly put as well. You literally are the CEO of that business for the foreseeable future. And you are making all of the decisions that a CEO would make, right? How much money you want to put into the book, what distribution channels you're going to try and make it available on, what price points, what promotions you're going to try and do. So the four P's, as Kotler had taught us, are all under your control. And it's perhaps as lonely or lonelier than, actually it's a little bit lonelier than being an author, because here nobody can help you. You could pay professionals for support, but most of your friends, your family are ill-equipped to try and help you with marketing a book. So you have to figure this out as you go along. And Doc, your videos, a lot of stuff is out there on the internet on what works, and it's literally a combination of putting all of that together that might give the push that a book needs. My understanding is that most books sell less than 1,000 copies. So the scale of that challenge is evident in those numbers.
No, you're right. And in medical sciences, we have something called idiopathic. So when we don't know how a disease occurs, we say that it is idiopathic in nature. So we don't know what the actual reason is. It might be something that someone wiser or more knowledgeable than us can figure out. And the same goes for marketing and promotion. Something can click, and you can spend hours and weeks and years into marketing and promoting your book, and maybe nothing works, but that's the way it is. We
Yeah,
have a
but
few comments.
yes.
Yeah, sorry. Please go ahead.
No, I was saying when I started looking at marketing for Portrait of a Secret, a lot of research was done, a lot of reading was done. And then I look at Amazon and I look at listings for a lot of books. And at the risk of sounding a little bit rude, it feels like more effort has been expended in simply writing the book and designing the cover than in actually figuring out what listing is likely to work. So you take an example of a complicated cover. You've got a bunch of elements interacting on it. Looks great on paperback, but when you go to Amazon, it's a little thumbnail where you can't really see those elements, and it's your first port of call with anybody who's looking to buy your book. So even something as simple as that, right? Optimizing your cover for Amazon without losing on paperback is an enormous challenge, and it requires a lot of work and a lot of thinking. Likewise, that little listing you get to write about your own book, it's the make or break for the book. It's the only 3 seconds you're going to get to convince somebody searching on Amazon to buy your book. And if that hasn't been optimized to levels significantly exceeding the book, then I think the battle is lost anyway. There is very little you can do after that. So to anybody looking to market their book, I think those are two huge opportunities that most of us don't spend adequate time on.
And that also roots from the core issue that we all know, we all understand that in today's day and age, people have an attention span of maybe 5 to 10 seconds, nothing more than that. That's why short form videos are booming so much. It's an industry. So why a person going on Amazon, trying to find a book, trying to find their next read, will spend more than 5 seconds? As you very rightly said, your first 3 or 4 lines should be worth reading, worth going on, right? So that's something everybody should know. And our commenter Monica has said marketing and promotions are the most difficult part of publishing. And how do you, it's a question to you, how do you deal with the self-doubting phase? I doubt myself a lot, and it somehow demotivates me. That's your question from Monica.
It's natural, isn't it? As in, we all question ourselves at all stages of life. But it's going to sound very corny, but the only way is to push forward. You can surrender, throw in the towel, put up the white flag, and give it up, but that achieves absolutely nothing. So you keep pushing and believe. If you believe in your book, then you keep pushing and see where it leads you. And not every effort leads to success. A lot of times, money and time will be wasted, but you owe it to your book, you owe it to the year of effort or the 2 years of effort to give it your absolute best to try and make sure enough people are buying it.
The only way forward is through. That's right. So, moving on, you have delved in the genre of suspense thriller with elements of espionage, conspiracy, and patriotism with your first book. What do you think the flavor of your next and subsequent works is going to be? Do we hope to see something completely different, like maybe a fantasy or a pure romance, or even non-fiction from Tarun Mereshi in coming years?
So the second book, fortunately, is around the corner. October 2025 sees the release of book two, again with Penguin. This one's titled Spectres of Vengeance. And it's an ode to, India's growing global ambition. It's an ode to taking vengeance for everything that has been thrown at us by interests that are not aligned or don't want to see India grow. It's uh, it's again in the espionage space. That's the one I enjoy most. That's the one I've read most of. But let's see how that's received by people in India. The third book, a manuscript that's ready, is a murder mystery. So that's my first departure from the espionage, the spying space. I am also working on a non-fiction book with a renowned medical professional. That is still going to take a few months to get to a stage where it's ripe to be properly evaluated by a publisher. But we do have a first draft ready. It's a topic that's close to my heart. It's a topic I've experienced personally. So I'm quite keen to get the message out there, the lessons that I've learned in trying to grapple with that medical issue myself.
And see, your first book was published in 23,
Yep.
and we are in 2025. So in 2 years you have completed one book, which is just coming out in a matter of months. Then you have another book which is ready, then you have another book. So how did you manage to write 3 books? I mean, in various levels of completion, how did you manage to do so much in 2 years?
It's well, the answer I wanted to actually say was it's actually not that much, right? You I can think of authors that are far more prolific than that. I think we've had a discussion about it in the past as well. Somebody managing to author 70 books in 3 years, which is incredible. But I concentrate most of my energies now on writing. This is the direction I've chosen myself for the foreseeable future. Yes, I have businesses that I'm involved in on the side, but my partners have been kind and freed up enough time for me to be able to give to writing while they do the hard yards on operations on the other side. Um, so I do put in the hours. It's not to say that this is coming easily. I am writing 4 5 hours a day most days, 4 5 hours is a lot of writing. It's quite exhausting at the end of it. I read and I work on my businesses other than spending time with my family. So that's really the four things that I'm properly engaged in. I think I could do more, but probably not without compromising on the quality I want to deliver.
Yeah, that brings up a kind of it's not a meme actually. It's part of an interview, a conversation between George R. R. Martin and Stephen King. So one person is has written a lot of books, and their next book is coming for the last 12 years. It's awaited for the last 12 years, and the Stephen King is like churning out books after books after book. So you are safe to say you are somewhere in the middle, and it's very nice to see that you have tried to balance your personal life, your professional life, as well as making out time for your passion. Now, it's very easy to say that writing is my passion, putting out books is my passion, but to to put in the work, to put in the effort like you are doing right now is an inspiration. So, talking about inspiration, what or who was your biggest inspiration for writing this book, and who is your absolute most favorite author?
So the inspiration for writing this book, that's the easiest question to answer. Let me take that first. That inspiration actually came from an article in, I think it was the Times of India, but it might have been the Hindustan Times. And now I read the papers with a completely different lens from how I used to earlier. And there are hundreds of stories every day. And then, as long as you're willing to fictionalize a lot of it, there are hundreds of ideas in the papers every day. A lot of these articles are ready to be converted to books. Uh, so the article for Portrait of a Secret actually just spoke about two paintings that had been stolen from India, and it referenced Svetoslav Rorik and Devika Rani. And for me, that was an exciting story in itself, worth diving into. So when the time came, the research immediately flowed in this direction. And and the papers had it right. Yeah, the story was interesting. Yes, the truth was more linear, and we had to add layers and narratives to the story to make it more palatable, but the core of the story came out of that article. Same for the second book. There are enough articles in the papers which form the basis of that book as well. The third one, of course, is just entirely a work of fiction that comes out of my mind. Who are my favorite authors? My favorite book, it's hard to say. There's actually a book called 10% Human, which speaks about the microbiome in our body, which is a book of medicine. It's a book of science, but written in in the style of a thriller. I now forget the name of the author, but an absolutely outstanding book. As far as authors go, I've always enjoyed the Pattersons, the Sheldons, the Clancys, now the Lee Childs, and this is a lot of the reading I do. That said, my agent, my friend Smita, is now pushing me in different directions, so I am reading a lot more widely. And a good book recently read was Yellowface.
I remember I have heard about Yellowface, but I have never, never checked it out. So something that I probably might look into. So time to take a few more comments. We all miss out on a lot of great books because they don't get the spotlight they deserve, which is right. And the solution is you are the one. The author is the one who has to find out how to bring your book into the spotlight. No one else is going to do it, right?
And even this definition of deserve is something worth looking into, right? You can write a great book, but does it deserve the spotlight if you're not putting your effort into marketing it? Maybe not. And it could work the other way around as well, right? You've written an average book, but for some reason it's clicked with audiences and it's got itself into the spotlight. It's all a little bit up in the air. I don't think there's real science behind it. It's a little bit of art, a little bit of feel, and you sort of change track as you move along and try and find those things that are sticking with audiences.
So you write the book for the reader, not for yourself. That's kind of the thing that you can take away from this, right?
I think Usme bhi, there's a bit of a nuance here. You do write a book. I speak about Portrait, right? Portrait was not necessarily written. That's also not entirely accurate. I'm finding it hard to phrase it correctly. But Portrait was written as uh, as an avenue to scratch that long-standing itch. It wasn't necessarily written with the view that it would sell lots of copies. Once it became a book, of course, goalposts shifted and one wanted to do more with it. But the original writing was for self. I just wanted to produce a book that people enjoyed reading. The second one, I've been slightly more conscious about trying to write a book that readers will hopefully enjoy more, even though it's not exactly as layered as Portrait was when I wrote that first book.
Mm. A few more comments. Not a non-fiction reader, Monica says. She's not a non-fiction reader, but uh, the did you just say the medical profession? Yes, he said it is linked to a medical condition. And Monica again says, "You are truly inspiring, sir." Of course, you are inspiring. So here,
She's
I'd pause and talk a little bit more about this book that I have in my hand. The beauty of this book is in the fact that while reading it, at no point does it feel that the events of the decades past might not have actually taken place or might not have taken place in the manner as it is depicted. And the contemporary parts of the story, the parts that took place in the here and now, they are so relevant, so realistic, that makes the book come alive in the reader's mind. I remember while reading this book, I also found that John Oliver, who is the host of and the HBO series Last Week Tonight, he had covered the Sotheby's, you know, institution. So Sotheby's is the internationally renowned corporation for collection, auction, and brokering of fine arts, collectibles, and other items, which are actually mentioned in this book. And they really have had a history of putting pieces to auction, which have later been identified as stolen. Then there is the whole history of Rorik and his paintings, which again is so involved and so very delicately woven into the story that it is difficult to separate historical fact from fiction. So, my question to Tarun is, what would you say to us, the readers, to assure us that you are comfortable with the extremely high bar that you have set for yourself, the extremely high expectations that we have from you and from your upcoming books?
I won't get all of them right. I think that I can say with confidence. Some of them will fail. Some of them will not be resonant with what authors are expect with what readers are expecting. But what will certainly not be missing is effort. So even for specters, there's been a lot of effort that's gone into making that book hard to put down. Hopefully, it'll work the same way as Portrait, and once people do get into it, you will want to finish it in one sitting. But I don't think any author can really make that promise that the next book will not disappoint. With expectations comes pressure. It's a little bit harder to execute, but the only way forward is through. So one will continue writing and hope that most of the books click, if not all of them.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And coming right off this point, you told us about the next book, which is coming out in October, and another book which is coming out maybe next year or the year after next. But about this Spectre, what can you tell about this? I mean, without spoiling anything, it is still a few weeks out. What can you tell us about that?
So many moons ago, Israel took revenge for what had happened during the Munich Olympics. And that series of assassinations across the world was glorified in book, in movie. How much of it was true, how much it was untrue is I think hard to say. But the flavor of the movie was that a lot of it was factual. I'm just taking a little bit of inspiration from there. I think, I believe, more than think, that India has been targeted for far too long. And we are now at a stage, economically, politically, on the global stage, where we should be able to fight back in every way possible. And that's the story of this book. India finally deciding to fight back and do what it takes to perform the government's first duty, which is protecting its citizens. The book is just built entirely around that.
That's intriguing. That's intriguing. So, do you think, do you see your book, your books actually, plural, as appealing to the international readership or mostly just resonating with the Indian readers?
So both Portrait and Spectres have a very heavy Indian bias, certainly written for Indian audiences that understand the context that have been applied to both those books. The third one, the murder mystery, I think has more potential to go global. It does, of course, it's set in the Indian context. This is the one we know best. But I think those characters, those circumstances can transcend geographical boundaries. Right? So, if you, briefly speaking about it, it's about a high-end sports person, a star wife, and the murder of the wife, why it was committed, how it was committed. Those themes, I think, will resonate globally, but it's not easy. You know, credit where it's due to all these authors that have managed it. It's extremely hard to try and take a book from India overseas. We can get into the details of those challenges of what I'm learning, but it's an enormous challenge. And I think fiction books, especially, would struggle to try and surmount that challenge. I think non-fiction stuff probably has a better chance.
Wow. This is deep. We have another comment. Did you ever receive an unexpected feedback from your readers, something that stuck in your mind?
Absolutely. A friend of mine pointed out one error in Portrait, which all these eyes had missed. Fortunately, she's the only person who spotted that error. So immense credit to her. That feedback will always stay in my mind, and she's therefore now become a default go-to person for reading of additional manuscripts. She spotted something that was so minor but so important that it blew my mind.
Wow. Again, this warrants going back to the book and reading it again in hopes of finding something.
So hopefully you don't. Hopefully nobody does. It doesn't take away from the plot, fortunately, but it was not an error that should have been committed.
Wow. So, again, you have joined TLB, the digital city, which is now TLB City, for quite a few months, and you are now a TLB Prime author. What has your experience been with TLB, and what other kinds of engagements are you looking forward to with TLB?
So I've loved this, right? I joined Courtesy knowing you. I don't think I would have, or maybe I would have come across TLB City otherwise, but I came across it because of you. Uh, what do I like about it? The vibrancy on it is amazing, right? We probably exchange a few hundred messages, approaching 1,000 messages a day. It's sometimes hard to keep up with the volume, but that volume always comes with insight. It always comes with passion. The entire discussion once witnessed around self-publishing has been fascinating. All the companies providing these self-publishing services, the pros, the cons, everything that authors are doing to market their books, every struggle that authors are facing to finish their books, the beta reading, the alpha reading. There's a lot of value on this platform for authors. Um, what do I look forward to? I'm hoping that at some point in the near future, this community grows a lot stronger. I'm not sure what the numbers are today, but I know there is scope to grow this to a lot more. And like we have spoken about on that platform in the past, trying to take some more of these activities offline would be great as well.
Thank you so much. And actually, to that point, we are trying right now to take everything as much as possible offline. We have our registered office offline, of course. We just had a authors meet in Delhi. I think a few weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks back, and we plan to do more and more such things as we go forward. And there's a lot of things to be said for TLB City, what we are doing and what we will be doing. But better to let the time flow and let things actually come to fruition rather than just claiming. And this is kind of the uh, conclusion of our interview conversation today. We have this comment again. So Monica said, touchwood, may TLB grow big and bigger. Of course, touchwood. So this is all that we have this night, bringing Tarun Maheshrishi face to face with the authors, with others at TLB City. Thank you so much, Tarun, for giving us your time and being so candid and so open with us and so engaging. Before we end, I would like to give the mic back to you and so to speak, anything that you want to say, closing remarks. Closing remarks.
No, you've been extraordinarily kind. So thank you. Pleasure to be here. Absolute pleasure to be at every TLB City event. Had to miss the Delhi one, unfortunately, but I promise to make the next one. And the only thing I'd like to add is that if there is anything I can do, other than what we try and do on TLB City to push the community forward, I'd love to be involved on other matters as well. But I leave that to you and Sharad to figure out if there is scope. But otherwise, I'll do what I can to continue pushing our agenda, our joint agenda, as we move forward.
We might just take you up on that promise very soon.
Wonderful.
So it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And to each and every person who has joined this conversation, either on YouTube or on Instagram, thank you so much. We will continue to bring more and interesting, lively conversations to you regularly. If you are not yet a part of TLB City, I don't have much to say to advertise TLB City. The ever growing membership and the ever diversifying arenas inside the city are a testament to what TLB stands for. We will welcome you with open arms whenever you decide to enter the city, whenever you decide to step in. There is something for you to explore and enjoy in this city that I am sure of. Until next time, this is Dr. Abhinav Atul signing off. Have a good night. Keep reading, keep writing, and keep the passions alive. Thank you so much for joining in. Oh, of course, before I sign off, so the star commenter, star engager for today's session is Monica Sani. So Monica, congratulations. I know you, I can see you are online. You'll be receiving this book very shortly. So that is all. Thank you. Have a nice night. Have a nice weekend, whatever remains of it. We will see each other again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.